Hi everyone, Jenna here. So today we're going to be talking about communication online, and in the essence of business communication and how we conduct ourselves online, it is subjective. And that is what I want to focus on tonight is the issue of subjectivity online in how one conducts themselves, whether that be in a personal manner, in a commercial sense, if you're advertising your business online and have social media related platforms pertaining to your business. In my personal opinion, how you conduct yourself online, what you post, what you say, it's subjective. And this is what I really want to focus on is this theory, if you will, or this perspective of subjectivity. And in my humble opinion, I do believe that we as humans, as Americans, as people attending Rider University, however far down or however broad you want to narrow or expand that bubble, we have the right to post whatever we want. I know as Americans, at least speaking from that perspective first, we are within our constitutional rights under our First Amendment to have freedom of speech. That goes with the commercial side, freedom of the press, obviously within the limits of the law. But generally, we do have the right to say what we want, when we want, and how we want, which is a wonderful thing that we as Americans and many other nations around the world's citizens as well can enjoy. It is a privilege that we have the right to do that. So tonight, what I just wanted to kind of delve into again is that subjectivity. When it comes to the perspective of subjectivity. Now, in terms of looking at that, in terms of social media, what we post online, again, whatever we want to post, we can put out there. What we post online may not always agree with the perspectives, the morals, the viewpoints of everyone else. And frankly, what you choose to do online and how you choose to conduct yourself is entirely up to you, and what you deem fit and how you determine you want to present yourself online. No one should have an influence on what you post online. Of course, some of us do operate under certain restrictions where maybe you personally don't want to post about politics, but I do. And you don't want to post about where exactly you are because you're worried that people are going to see where you are and that you're out of your house. Some people might not care about that. So again, it's all entirely up to the user. And now, when it comes to individuals not necessarily agreeing upon what you're posting, or if people take issue with, say, some of the content that you're putting out, or vice versa, you see some content that you don't agree with, or you find offensive, or there's a certain maybe topic that you're sensitive to, there are options out there, people. There are options. We all have the option to either engage or ignore. And when it comes to this is a huge thing that we need to remember. If there's something that you are sensitive to, a topic, that you just don't want to hear about for whatever reason, you can either choose, of course, to engage in said content and reply back, or get in a Twitter war, or, whatever everybody's calling it nowadays. Or you do have the option to ignore. And when I say ignore, most social media platforms nowadays have the options to put filters on certain keywords where they're filtered out of your feed, especially if you have a public account. If you don't want to see anything involving ice cream for some reason, that's what's offensive to you, you can filter out the word ice cream, and guess what, you're never going to see anything about ice cream in your feed again. Obviously this can pertain to a lot more serious issues than ice cream. Say there's a political situation going on, or something that is causing you to be stressed or triggered, whatever you might call it. There are options to filter out those words. Obviously, block certain people's accounts if they're causing you a problem, or say you're trying to ignore but somebody is engaging with you. You can just block them. You can mute their comments so you don't even see anything that they're posting. There are the options to do that. When it comes to social media, And these options, again, everybody has the right to post what they want when they want. And us as consumers of this social media information, of what is, of the content, us as consumers of content that's put out online, we have the option to determine what it is that we see. And now I know there's no right and wrong, and there's no individual who's transcribing the etiquette book on what social norms look like, what's acceptable to post, who can post what. That is a huge thing that we're seeing in the media. And even the case study presented tonight about our president and his tweets. And I know I have my own personal opinions on that. And many people have put a lot of backlash on him in particular, and others, other celebrities or public figures, just using him as an example since it was mentioned in the case. With his Twitter usage, now, typically, say I put out a statement and I say, I hate Bernie Sanders. For me, I don't like Bernie Sanders. Great. Okay. Maybe you like him. Maybe you find what I said offensive. But I have a couple hundred followers, maybe 1,000 followers, and people in only my immediate network. Since I have a private filter, my account is a private account. Only those in my network are going to see what I put out there. And if they don't like it, they can either engage or ignore. Now, say you take someone in the public eye, say like our president, in the midst of an election year here, who goes, I hate Bernie Sanders, or I hate Elizabeth Warren, or any other candidate, or whomever. I hate Nordstrom. There you go. People are going to take offense to that. There's just no getting around it. People have their own viewpoints, people have their own perspectives, their own opinions and thoughts, as they should. And again, it is all subjective. Should our president be tweeting some of the things that he's tweeting? Who's to say? Maybe it's not worded in a way that is taken as lightly as perhaps he meant it to be perceived as, or perhaps, again, people have biased opinions of him, and of other political figures, and those with social status and a following, a media following online. People put them at a certain bar and a certain standard and hold them to that, but that bar and standard is subjective. Now, with that bar and standard, we can determine, oh, I don't care if Donald Trump says he hates Bernie Sanders, or I don't care if Jeff Bezos says he doesn't pay his taxes. It's just going to be subjective however you look at it. I put my own bar and standard on what I think my president, or what I think a person of social status should be, how they should be conveying themselves. But say if somebody's looking at me or you as a everyday, regular kind of guy and gal, they might say, oh, okay, that's your opinion. Sure, fine. They might choose to ignore it. Now, a person with social status, they may choose to engage in it, and maybe not engage to the point of responding to a comment or getting involved in some kind of feed. Again, Twitter war, Twitter fingers, all of that. They might not go to that extent, but they may go to the extent of saying, oh, hey, mom, hey, dad, did you see what our president tweeted? I think that's really offensive and inappropriate. That could be their subjective perspective. And they may be engaging, maybe not online, but they may be engaging in other ways. Or they may be sending that tweet to, or direct messaging it to a friend and saying, hey, look at this. And they're maybe not so upfront and directly engaged as far as with people in live time, say on Twitter. But they do have the option to ignore if they don't want to see what he's tweeting. Unfollow him as the president, or unfollow whatever celebrity or person of social status that you don't like their content. You don't have to see it. If people disagree, I would say you're protected under your First Amendment right to say what you want. A great example, just to keep it short and sweet here, there was a court case, Miller v. California. This man sent out brochures for his business, and there were complaints that the recipients of this this is a mailer, hard copy, old school, you get out of the mailbox. People filed complaints that it was unwanted content, and he was distributing obscene material. This is protected under the First Amendment right, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. If people have their issue with it, it is their subjective perspective to engage or ignore, and to utilize the proper tools that are available, such as filtering, such as blocking, muting, any of that, to really help them not see what is sensitive content or triggering to them. Nobody defines the standard norm. There is no such thing as the standard norm. We may all abide to similar morals or similar, perspectives, depending on the demographic. And again, how small you want to shrink that bubble or how large you want to expand it really will depend. We as Americans may have different views than people in China, or us as residents of, or mostly residents of, say, New Jersey, where our school is, may have different perspectives. That can even be narrowed down more so by county and town and, small circle of close friends. Like-minded people usually stick together, so you can narrow that as far down as the individual and as broad out as looking at it from a global perspective. So just to note, it is all subjective. What you put online, how you conduct yourself, how you would like yourself to be viewed. So if you take offense to something, make the appropriate adjustments. And I'll leave it at that. Everything is subjective. I believe we all have our own right and ability to view the content that we see acceptable and is appropriate to us. So just to keep that in mind, going forward, conduct yourself how you want to be viewed online. And that is all. Have a great week, everyone.